Okay, hello everybody. Let's go ahead and get started. Change this a little bit so you can see it. Okay, so welcome to not only the fall of 2022, but an online environmental science class. So I wanted to take some time and give you an orientation video to go over sort of everything in the course, sort of like what the course is about, that kind of idea. Just make sure the sizing is okay. Sorry about that. It's okay. All right. So first and foremost, obviously a welcome page. On this welcome page, um, particularly noting the instructions. I wasn't trying to be silly here when I noted the steps to get started. Notice that the first two are pretty much the same thing, imploring you to watch this video. And you are, good job. So watch the video. And then the second one, watch the video. And then even more than that, no, seriously, watch the video. There's a reason I did that. I cannot tell you how many times I've gone through a course and I'll be not just weeks in, but even months in sometimes. And I'll get an email from a student finally saying, I'm lost. I just don't understand. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I didn't understand the syllabus. And I'll ask them, it's been not only weeks, but sometimes even months again. Why haven't you asked till now? And I'll go back and start at the beginning. Did you watch the orientation video? And some people say, yeah, I did. And I'll ask them some questions. And then eventually comes out, no, I really didn't watch the video, or I didn't really watch it thoroughly. I didn't really understand it, something like that. Or the syllabus, the same thing, well, I didn't really get around to it, or, I just looked at the tentative schedule, or I read it and I didn't get it. And so I'll have this discussion of, well, why are you only asking now? Why are you coming to me, weeks in, let alone months in, finally asking these questions? So thankfully, you're not doing that. You're hopefully watching this on the very first day of class, and ask those questions. Watch this video carefully and thoroughly. Make sure you understand all the parts. That's why I'm having a video. I'll go over everything, where you find everything on Canvas, your syllabus, and how to locate things on your syllabus. I'll go over all of that. And so if you have questions on that, ask me. Don't wait for something to build up. Certainly in science classes, including with the actual course material, if you wait, it definitely just builds on itself and then becomes this like unwieldy sort of issue to deal with. So don't do that. Ask me questions. Let me know what's going on. This is more challenging, obviously, with not just being an online class, but the C idea. This is a combination lecture lab. You are, in essence, taking two courses in one. You have a lecture component and all the things that go in with a lecture class, and you have a lab class and everything that goes into a lab class. So sometimes I'll get a message from a student saying, wow, it feels like I'm flipping back and forth and going to this and going to that and going to this, and it's confusing, and why is there so many parts? It's because A, you're doing it online, and B, you're taking two classes in one. This is not just one course. So make sure you're clear on that. And then second, the online idea. Please make sure this is what you want. There are several forms of online. There is what's called DLiveC. DLiveC would be online, but with live lectures. So we still meet through your computer, for example, something like this. Not a video, but I'd be giving a live lecture to you through like a webcam. And we'd have like a Tuesday, Thursday class that you would come and we would have these discussions. Then there is this, DLON. DLON is fully online, no live anything, no live lectures, no live meetings, no live discussions, nothing like that. There's no live anything. The closest it gets to live would be if you choose to schedule a Microsoft Teams appointment. No worries, we can do that. And then that would be us working together in a real-time setting, kind of like if you came to office hours at HEC. And then there's hybrid. Hybrid is a mix of those. It's a mix of being on campus and a mix of online. But this is fully online, and make sure you're all right with that. With fully online, no live lectures, no live anything, you have to be very, very dedicated to your subject, very disciplined in your study. You have to be willing to be regimented. I need to be online at this time and block out an hour a day or 3 hours over 2 days to make sure I sit down and focus. And I need to make sure that I come to office hours, and I need to be disciplined enough to ask those questions, because you have to do this. I'm not there with you, obviously. I'm not there on a Tuesday and Thursday and saying, well, let's open up our books on this page, and I just want to make sure you understand that. And are you sure you don't have any questions? So make sure that this is sinking in. That's not happening, obviously, with DLON. It's a unique beast, taking online, let alone full online. And I fully understand. I'm in the same position. I'm not only teaching online, I'm taking online graduate classes. I decided to go out and get another graduate degree. And with this, the lectures are not live. There's no way I can have interaction with professors. The professor actually, about 1,500 miles away from where I live here in Tampa. So it's not like I can pop into office hours. So I have to be really disciplined and make sure I look at the material and read the material. If I have questions, I seek out resources. I ask the professor. I don't know if they have any like Microsoft Teams office hours. I'm not getting the impression they do. So I have to send emails and make sure I know where to go if I have a question. And if I have a question on differential calculus, this is most likely taking a course in orbital mechanics this semester. So I know where to go to ask that question. I know who I can ask it to. I have to be really disciplined. And that's on top of full-time work and family and everything else. You're kind of in that position where you have to be disciplined. So make sure this is what you want. I don't want you going halfway through the course and it's like, oh my gosh, this is just not what I thought it would be. I want you to be absolutely clear on what's coming your way. So with that, if this is what you want, let's take a look at everything. Everything you need for the course itself is online. The only thing you need to purchase is the textbook. And yes, you need it, whether it is the actual physical book or the ebook. You need either one. You do not need both. Oh, and there is a small little lab manual for Mr. Cleet. So you need those two things, the book and the lab manual, both of which should be available to you at the HCC DMW bookstore. I'll come back to that in a minute. But beyond that, I posted everything I possibly can online for you, not just this little welcome page. Notice the announcements page. So as you go through this, it was saying, of course, watch the orientation video, and make sure you watch the orientation video. Then it says read the syllabus. The syllabus is located in the Files tab. I'll go there momentarily. The announcements link. Notice I was saying check it every day, including weekends. Yeah, that's exactly what it means. I had a student a few semesters ago was really grumpy about this. Their opinion was they should only have to check the announcements on the day of class. It was a on class, they actually came to class. I think it was D Live C if I recall correctly. So we had regimented like a Tuesday and Thursday meetings, that kind of idea. But that's not how college works. I said, no, you have to check it every day. Things happen at any time. Something could happen over the weekend that affects on the coming week, or maybe it's a Monday where test is on Wednesday, but something happens and I have to get to you. You need to check all the time. And in fact, I already have an announcement for you. What do you know? Today's Sunday, classes start tomorrow. I've already got one for you. It's just the orientation video and a lot of background on what I'm already talking about, but I already have one for you. I tend to be rather communicative, so it means check it regularly. Now, how many announcements I have, it's going to vary from term to term. It depends on what happens. But when I need to, I will post those announcements. So check them all the time. Your files link, again, has everything you need pretty much. I'll go there momentarily. And make sure that you are familiar with the McGraw-Hill stuff. That's here. You really only need this if you're using the ebook and those materials. If you have the physical book, you're not going to need this. And then, of course, as I noted to you, ask questions. Ask them all the time. There's your contact information, of course, for the course generally and for me. And notice that with the emails, this is standard email protocol in the United States. So notice, of course, it says 24 to 48 hours. It does not say 24 to 48 minutes. But I've had students do that. I'll come back after I've had a lecture and they'll go, I emailed you 2 hours ago. Where have you been? Wow. Well, it's none of your business, but I was in class. And so this is the first chance I had to check email, let alone try to reply to someone. And that includes weekends. I'll get somebody to email me like at 5 p.m. on Friday. I don't even see it until Monday. Like, where have you been all weekend? Wow. Well, it might be a surprise to you, but faculty actually have kind of a life and family and everything else. So, we got to go deal with those things as well. So kind of keep this in mind. I'm good at getting back to students, but if I don't get back to you, you don't hear from me in 48 hours, ask again. One thing that could have happened is I never got to email. I can't even tell you how many times that happens. Systems just don't always work. And so I emailed 3 days ago. I didn't get a reply. I never got it. So try again. So kind of bear that in mind. So let's go to the Files tab. There's your announcements again, right underneath that. Files, pretty much everything you need is there. There is a lot here. Has to be. This is a combination lecture and lab. There's a lot going on, and particularly the labs. These labs are complicated. They're complicated because you had to go from a face-to-face traditional on-campus class and rewrite that and restructure that so you can do everything online. And on top of that, not just everything online, but without materials. If you have a formal lab at HCC and you have 30 rocks out, what am I going to do? Make you buy a $100 rock kit plus the etching glass and a weak acid and make sure you have a hand lens. That's expensive and potentially dangerous. Has acids. Whether we use weak like hydrochloric acids to deal with carbonates. I'm not going to make you do that. Or, if you have an elodial lab for freshwater plants, what am I going to make you do? Go down and find or purchase elodium and then have sodium bicarbonate kind of hanging about and do the experiment in your home? No, I'm not going to do that. So this is complicated to restructure everything. And I've done my best to do it. which is why students say, well, I've got to flip back and forth and go to this and go to that and watch this video. Yes, because you chose to do it fully online and you're doing 2 classes in one, including a lot of actual experiments. Again, make sure you're all right with that. But with that all said, let's start here with the syllabus. I'll come back to the other links in a minute. And we're going to spend quite a bit of time here as I go through all this. Now, first and foremost, it's a long syllabus. Not as long as I've seen. I think the longest I've had was like a 35-page syllabus. I had one of those at USF. These just happen. This is pretty much an output of COVID. Before this, I had like a 5 or 6 page syllabus, but we were on campus and I was in front of students and I was giving a lecture and I was saying, here's syllabus day, the first day of class, and I went over everything. And you didn't need a 16-page syllabus. When I started teaching online, and like everybody, it was COVID, we all got tossed online and very little training. That's not an HEC thing, mind you. That's just a welcome to a pandemic world. We were all racing, not just HEC, but across the planet to try to figure this out. And so one of the first sets of requests I got was please, 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 please make your syllabus thorough so we know what you need, because I didn't have a syllabus day with them. I ended up with this. I ended up with the orientation video and I ended up with this. I sat down and thought about, if I was going to do a first day, come to class, let's go over the syllabus, what would I say? And I sat down and just typed it out and I ended up with a 16-page syllabus. It's lengthy, but everything you need is here, which means you need to read it. Don't just skim it. Don't just, oh, I read the first bullet and I'm good. No, read it section by section, paragraph by paragraph. And if you have questions, ask. This is also why I'm doing the orientation video. I'm going to go through the syllabus with you and explain it. So hopefully when you read it, after you've watched the video, hopefully it makes even that much more sense. Right, so again, there's my contact information, my office, my telephone number, my office email. Please make sure you email me here. The course intended outcomes are set down by the college. It's usually no one person. This is what the department thinks you should learn in this class. It's robust. There's a lot here. And there's a fair amount of chemistry and a fair amount of mathematics as well. Welcome to science and welcome to biology. I get people coming in, especially majors, who think, yeah, I'm going to go to biology because I don't like chemistry and math. No, you're not. For them particularly, because they're going to be scientists. Even if you're in biology, you must be very good at chemistry and mathematics, which means you're going to have this coming your way. You're going to have nuclear physics coming your way. You have to, because you have to deal with nuclear power plants. Now, it's a non-majors course, it's an undergrad class. We're not trying to overwhelm you, but you can't ignore the issue. So kind of bear that in mind. One thing I do like about this class is if you're going to go off and take a physical science class, this syncs very well with earth science. So when I teach earth science, it's an easy crossover. So if you've had that class, this will be like right up your alley, hopefully. But there's a lot here. You can already see biology and geology and chemistry and physics. It's all here that you got to deal with. Energy, challenging to deal with energy, the thermodynamic laws. It's not even easy to define necessarily, and certainly with the mathematics too. We got to deal with that. Different biomes, for example, and diseases and climate change. Climate change is an overriding principle. It's like an umbrella principle. And I'm sorry if I'm bursting your bubble. We're dealing with science. We're dealing with unambiguous, direct, data-driven science, and climate change is real. It's that simple. The data clearly pans that out. So we got to deal with that. We got to deal with foodstuffs and pollution and certainly poverty. It all comes up. I notice that's when things like sociological and economic issues come up. Big deals when it comes to environmental science. Now, since it was a longer syllabus years ago, I went ahead and put it in a table of contents because I was getting questions like, well, I don't know where to find this in the syllabus. And I was trying to find where it talked about examinations, but I couldn't find it. I've got a whole section on it, or homework. I didn't see anything in the syllabus on homework. Really? I've got an entire section in the syllabus on homework. So again, years ago, I broke down and put this in. Now if you have that question like homework, okay, just like any book, this is not a book, but any book, go to the table of contents. Oh, there's homework. It's on page 7. Flip over to page 7 and read on homework. And then if you have questions after that, certainly ask me. So this is a courtesy to you. Hopefully it helps out. This is new. As of late last week, COVID is still out there. It has not gone away. It is not going away, it looks like, anytime soon. And plus now we're already preparing for the next pandemic. I'm going to show you an article that kind of hints at that. So this is an ever-changing issue. And even of late last week, these are the new policies that are coming down from HCC. These are not my policies. These are the college policies. So they wanted us to relay these to you. Notice that if you're showing signs of an illness, don't come to class. Don't come to HCC. Stay home. Yeah. Don't be cavalier about this. If you're on campus and you're not feeling well, go home. It's that simple. Go to the doctor. Go to the hospital if you need to. And certainly that can include needing to quarantine. If you're unsure of symptoms, think you could have been exposed, put a mask on. This is not meant in any way, shape, or form to be a political issue. This is simply meant to save your life. We've known for a century how masks can work. Now, granted, it depends on the illness and what mask you need. For example, when the Delta variant came out for COVID, we quickly found out that cloth masks don't work. So that's when the N95 sort of had their highlight come up. Yeah, so that's just science. It's not that we did anything wrong. Things change, science changes. It's really that direct. Let's see. COVID-19 can have a false negative. Therefore, again, if you have any of these issues, fever, respiratory illness, sore throat, you don't need to go to class. Now, granted, we don't have any live lectures, but I don't know where you're doing this. It could be on campus, in the hallway, at the library, doing the stuff. And I don't want you to get sick. I don't want you to get someone else sick, kind of idea. That's why the college has us out. Even if you're feeling better, notice that's only for over 24 hours. You need to be like away, getting healthy for at least 5 days before you should be coming back to class and coming back to the college. So again, be careful. And even then, when you're ready to come back, you still need to wear a mask for 10 days. They recommend it. Got to force it on you. But again, you're trying to keep yourself from having a relapse, picking up another illness. If you've already been sick, your immune system's already taken a wallop. That leaves you at risk of other infections, let alone a kind of reinfection. So we're trying to keep you healthy. We're trying to keep you safe, but we're also trying to keep others healthy and safe as well. If you miss a lot of class, again, we can request you to have a doctor's note. This one, of course, if you're out and you get quarantine, there is a chance to try to work out remote learning. Let me know. I'll try to do what I can for you. If you miss extended time, again, even if that affects your final grade, you could do things like asking for incompletes. You could talk to the Dean of Student Services. And if you can validate what's going on, you can even ask for a late drop of the course. Again, we're trying to work with you. The point here is to keep you alive, keep everybody alive and healthy, and get you through this and on with your life. That's the point here. And then, of course, again, if you've had this positive flu or COVID, even professors can recommend that not just you, but the whole class wears a mask. So again, this is coming from the college, not from me. Again, we have no live lectures, so this doesn't impact us as much. But again, I don't know where you're doing this. And certainly if you come to my office hours and you're feeling all this, that's when it would impact both of us. The etiquette is kind of like the same idea. You might be thinking, well, this is an online class. Why does he have this? Because again, I don't know where you're doing this. I don't know if you're on campus. I don't know if you're in the hallway or the library. And it's just really what this is saying is when you're on campus, when you're in a class particularly, don't act like an arse. Just go there, be an adult, and have a good day. How about that? So you can read this on your own. It just means pay attention, keep your voices down, answer your phone outside, not in the hallway, outside, kind of idea. Don't show up late, don't leave early, and all this kind of idea. Don't turn in materials late. That obviously impacts us, even though this is talking more generally for a lecture class. And of course, emails. Make sure you do emails appropriately. We'll come back to that momentarily. For the required materials in the course, this is the name of the book. This is the author. This is your publisher, and I even have the ISBN there. HEC, the bookstore, is now being run by Barnes & Noble. It's been a huge changeover, and there's been a lot of issues going on. Not surprising, with this big changeover. Barnes & Noble has been doing their best. This is just the first term, and so I'm sure in the next terms and subsequently then it's going to get better and better. But right now it's a bit challenging. But the book should be up there, the physical book and then the ebook. Like I said a few minutes ago, you need either one, the physical book or the ebook. You don't need both of them. And you do need Mr. Klee's laboratory manual. It's this little like $3.50 manual. That's where we're going to be getting the bulk of our labs. I do have some handouts for you online. I'll show you in a few minutes. But you need to get both of those, and they should be at the bookstore. If you get the ebook, that's when you're going to need to go, and I'll show you in a minute again, to this link, the Macmillan link, and then register your ebook. When you register the ebook, I cannot help you with that. This is between you and with Macmillan. You can't say, well, the access code's not working, or I need a course ID number. I don't have those things. You have to work with Macmillan technical support in order to figure out what's going wrong in the system. So kind of bear that in mind. We have no ability to go in a computer and deal with tech systems. Let's see, the attendance. It might seem strange again. Well, wait a minute, it's fully online. How can there be attendance? Yeah, we asked the same question because the state wants us to have attendance. So HEC figured out a way to do it. Notice you will be taking an extra credit quiz on the syllabus. You will be doing that. You can see it's on the 24th. You must send me an email by the 26th of this month telling me your desire to stay in the course. And then during the semester, we will have some discussions for you to do. There will be a course homework to turn in. You have a Gordon rule you must turn in that the college decided this is a Gordon rule class. And of course, you're going to have some exams. So all different ways that we can do attendance. Now, remember, I just said a moment ago, I have no ability to go into a computer system and do anything technical for you. That includes dropping you, withdrawing you. I cannot do that except in one case. Should you not do these things, particularly the syllabus quiz and the email to me letting me know you're going to stay in the class, you're going to be removed from the course for what's known as withdrawn non-attendance. I have to do that. It's coming down from the state. So kind of bear that in mind. However, if you want to withdraw from the course, drop the class, I can't help you again. I can't go into a computer and do it. So if you send me an email saying, yeah, it was great, but I'm out of here. Okay, sorry to see you leave, but I cannot help you. You must go and do it formally with HCC. If you're on my rolls at the end of the semester, I have zero choice but to assign you a grade commensurate with the work you have done. And if you've taken only one exam, you're going to fail the class. And remember, you have every right to fail the course. There's no such thing like, well, I paid, I'm going to get a grade. Yeah, you're going to get an F. Like, I'm going to get an A because I paid. No, it doesn't work like that. All right, my office hours. You can see what they are. So Mondays, notice it's online. I'm not going to be on campus on Monday. Tuesdays, I have classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So Tuesdays, you can see my office hours. Now I have a class that ends at 1:45. If you come in my office hours at 2, I'm not there yet. Just wait a few minutes. That class might have ran a few minutes late or I got hung up there. I have to set it at 2 because I'm also an engineering advisor for the engineering club. So that usually is on Tuesdays and Thursdays, which means I've got to squeeze it into that. So just bear with me. I'll be there unless I'm not there that day. And of course, I'll put an announcement out. But just kind of hang on for a minute. And I'll be there as quick as I can. But hopefully I'll be there every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 o'clock. Wednesdays, 11 to 1. I have no classes on Wednesdays, but they would like for us to be there on 3 days out of the week. Fine. So I'll be in office then. Thursdays again, 2 to 3:30. Again, in my office, 2:23. And then Fridays are online only as well. Now, if you'd like to, especially like on Mondays or Fridays, excuse me, still speak to me, you can send me an email, but you can also schedule a Microsoft Teams appointment. We have to work out a time for this. I have a lot of students, a lot of classes, and I usually get these queues of people that want Teams appointments. A lot of these Teams appointments easily go for an hour to an hour and a half. So we have to work out that time. But it's fine. Teams are like this, where we both be online. You can at least see me. I may not be able to see you, and that's perfectly fine, but I have to be able to hear you, of course. You can ask me questions on the lecture notes and the labs, and that kind of idea. We can go over exams, that sort of issue. That's perfectly fine. Just let me know what you want to deal with. If you've never used Teams, I have a link here for you that'll explain how to use it. Email messages, right? So I was doing the 24 to 48 hours idea. There it is once again for you. The main thing I'm asking for you here is when you email me, please tell me who you are. I cannot tell you how many times I get emails from people I've got no idea who they are, no idea what class they're in. One of the reasons for that, again, is I have a lot of classes and hundreds of students. It is not uncommon for me to have people with the exact same name, like Bob P. Smith. Great. So I get an email from Mr. Smith saying, what did we do today? I do not know. I've got 3 Bob P. Smiths and several classes. I don't know who you are. So I've got to send an email back to Mr. Smith saying, well, who are you? What class you're in? 9 times out of 10 when I do that, I never get a reply from Mr. Smith. So it means we both wasted our time. You wasted time sending me a message. I wasted time replying to your message because we didn't get anywhere. But let's take the track. Mr. Smith replied. That means in email number 3, I get a message. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm in your online environmental science class. Okay. Which means now in email number 4, I can finally answer your initial question. Here's what you should be doing. 4 emails to finally answer your question. If you would just take a moment and tell me who you are, what class you're in, it'll save us both a tremendous amount of time. This just happened. Today I got an email from a student saying, well, I don't know what to do with the book because Barnes & Noble. So what should I do? I don't know because I don't know what class you're in. I've never met you. I've got to go figure out who the student is, what class they're in, what's going on, what materials I need, because they didn't bother to identify themselves. So please save us time. Right. And with that, again, your labs. Now, again, this is a C course. So we have a lecture component and a lot of things going on with that. And we have a lab component and a lot of things going on with that, which is why you might feel like you're flipping back and forth. Sorry about that. Remember, this is 2 classes in 1. So we have over here, hang on a second, you can't see it, but Teams is a unique system, and it always puts up this very interesting little window that gets in the way of everything. There it goes. I have to wait. There it go. Finally went away. All right, so let's go back to our files. And in the files, you have this thing called additional labs. All right, so you have Mr. Klee's lab manual. I actually have the folder here. I don't know if this will highlight. Yeah, it does. Okay, so you need to buy this little $3.50 lab manual. This one happened to be orange in the cover. They change the color of the cover all the time. It's the lab manual, not Mr. Klee's lecture notes. You do not need Mr. Klee's lecture notes. You need the lab manual. So on any lab you see in the schedule, I'll show you the schedule and the syllabus in a minute. Start here. See if there's anything in the lab manual. If it says we're doing something on the scientific method, go to the table of contents and look up scientific method. And then check here. Notice lab 1, lab 3, lab 4, 6, and 7. I had to put up extra material for you beyond what might be in the lab manual. Heck, there might not even be anything in the lab manual. Maybe it's a handout. It would be here. So you always must check the lab manual, and you always must check the additional labs tab here in Canvas. Now, some of these labs just need more help. There's just not enough in the lab manual for you to be able to do this on your own at home, especially when materials are required. Some of these things are handouts, like for example, lab 3 is a handout. So you won't even see anything in Mr. Klee's lab manual. You got to go here. Here's the actual handout, and here's all of my instructions. You've got a couple of those. Another one would be the rock lab, identifying rocks. This is one that has a wonderful crossover with earth science. So here's the handout, and here's my instructions. Now, if you have had an earth science class, you know that rock identification, mineral identification is really challenging. It's hard even for professionals. A couple of years ago, yeah, it is. I had a student in earth science, environmental science, came into lab one day and just plopped down this big rock and asked me, "What is this?" Okay, I took a look at it. I was almost certain it was a meteorite, but it's hard to know. So I asked her, "Can I borrow it for a few days?" And I went and took it to 2 other geologists, and all 3 of us got together. My doctoral area was geology, and all 3 of us got together. Took 3 of us to figure it out. One with a PhD in geology. I was working on my doctorate in geology. Another one has a master's in geology. Took 3 of us to figure out, yeah, it was an asteroid. Well, excuse me, a meteoroid, which of course, when it hits Earth, is a meteorite. So if you're curious, meteoroids are small versions of asteroids, which is why I was kind of linking that idea. But it's a meteorite. Now, one reason it took us all together to figure this out is because we didn't want to destroy the rock. We didn't want to take like thin cuts of the rock and look at it under a microscope. But it was challenging to do, and we've been doing this stuff for a while. So now, if you're in a earth science class or here in a environmental science class, earth science, when I teach it, you spend like 3 weeks to a month doing rocks. You have a whole unit on rocks. In environmental science, you have a lab on rocks, and it's very difficult to come out saying, "Yeah, I can identify minerals," after even the 3 weeks to a month, let alone one lab. So because it's challenging, I put up these additional instructions, and there is a lot here. I took a long time to explain every step of that handout. I have videos, I have obviously pictures. You can see those pictures there of rocks. I'm highlighting things. I went to great lengths to show this to you, but there's even videos in here. So you got to click on the video and watch the video. So there's a lot of moving parts here, which is why I have these additional labs for you. Now, again, let's go back to that. Lab 1, 3, 4, 6, and 7 needed it. For example, lab 2 did not. So lab 2, there was everything you needed in the lab manual. By the way, there's actually everything you need in the lab manual in lab 1. The only reason why I posted lab 1 for you is sometimes when you go to the bookstore at the beginning of the semester, they don't have enough copy of Mr. Klee's lab manual. Remember, you need the lab manual, not his lecture notes. But they don't have enough lab manuals. So I got permission to post the first lab here for you. And I do have a little way to simulate the lab. So that was kind of a courtesy to you. Again, I don't expect you to go down and get a freshwater plant and to get some sodium bicarbonate and test it. So I was giving you not only a video to watch, it's kind of this little, like, it's actually a GIF, but it's a fun little activity you can do. It's really quite enjoyable. I'm a nerdy scientist, but for me, it's something I think is really quite enjoyable. So this is a simulation of what you would have done. This is a freshwater plant. I'm assuming it's freshwater. Obviously, it's fake, but this is something like a Lodia. You can see we have a luminosity, so intensity of some sort of energy, and we're measuring, of course, temperature. And what you're looking at is dissolved oxygen and how you can measure photosynthesis. Yeah, you can measure rates of photosynthesis based on a luminosity within the bubbles that you produce. So you can obviously vary the intensity, the lumens. Obviously, more light will affect, less light will affect. And of course, you can vary the temperature. So this would be like more room temperature. So notice here, let's put this back, and then you would push play, and there you go. You just like count bubbles. So the lab manual says to go for 60 seconds. You can see we're at 5 seconds, 6, 7 seconds. There you go. And I've had 3 bubbles, and there's 4 in that kind of video. So let's do this 10 seconds, and then it would vary the luminosity. So let's make it really bright and do the same thing. We'll do it for another 10 seconds. And look at that, you're just churning away with bubbles. So it was kind of a fun little way to replicate what you would have done in lab, but now at home, without requiring you again to go and buy extra material and do anything that might be complicated at home. So that's what this was about. We were trying to take those on-campus labs and have them in a meaningful way for you to do at home, in the privacy of your home, with no chemicals to worry about and rocks to worry about and extra materials to buy, which could be rather expensive, that kind of idea. But there's a lot of moving parts. So once again, always start with the schedule and in the syllabus. What lab do you need to be doing? Go and look in Mr. Klee's lab manual and see if it's in there. If there is something in there, read on, and then always check here for any additional materials. Welcome to the lab class. Now, again, if you have questions, you can email me, you can set up Teams appointment, that kind of idea. Please let me know. Files. So yeah, what I did was in the lectures here, I posted everything I would have given to you as a lecture if you're on campus. Now, these are in essence a summary of what's in your textbook. You still need to read the chapters. Read your chapters, then come here. Now, what I've done then, like we always do, we get these from the author and we take stuff out of the notes we don't need, we add stuff in that we do need, and we look for any errors that might be there. These are in essence a summary of your chapter. Now, let's just show you the first chapter then. There you go. Now notice this is 57 slides long. That's a summary, mind you. That means there's much more in the book than here. But I get people to get really grumpy with us. Oh, I can't believe this PowerPoint had 57 slides in the first chapter. We got 4 chapters on the test. Ridiculous. Yeah, well, did you read your textbook? Did you see how much stuff is actually there? These are summaries. Now, the worst one I could think of is not in this class. My second semester majors biology. Huge chapters. The worst one that comes to mind is a chapter on vertebrates. I remember when I got that chapter from the author, the book we're currently using, it was well over 200 slides. Have you ever seen a PowerPoint presentation that's over 200 slides long? Welcome to science, welcome to biology. So I had to deal with that. And I was able to whittle that down to, I think it was 99 slides. It was really hard to do, mind you, but I got it there. And that's still like 100 slides, but it's half the chapter. So again, people need to keep that in mind. Perspective, folks. This is a summary. Now that means whatever is in these PowerPoints, this is what you need to know for your exam. You do not need to send me an email saying, what do I need to know for the test? If they are here in these PowerPoints, you must know it. So again, read your chapter, get a good idea what's going on, a sense of it, then come here and focus on the PowerPoints for the lecture part of your exam. Granted, you'll still have questions on your labs as well. Okay, so let's go back to our syllabus. All right, so those are your post-it notes. Again, you don't need to ask me what's on your test. If they're in the post-it notes, you need to know it. Okay, so your homework. So there's a lot in your book. There's a lot of quizzes and essays and all sorts of stuff. The only thing I am requiring you to do is at the end of the modules, you have chapters, and within the chapters, you have modules. You have these environmental literacies to do. Now, here became a bit of a rub. The online book, the ebook, had answers. Well, not all the answers, but they had answers. The physical book had absolutely nothing. So I went through this whole rigmarole with your author saying, what's going on? Publisher, what's going on? They actually granted me permission to post the answers to all questions here. The only ones you need to work on are the environmental literacy. So let's go back to your files tab. Notice in your files right there, it says environmental literacy. So here's probably module 1. Yep, module 1 of chapter 1. All right, now, so you need to go down to the environmental literacy, because that's the only part you need. This came right from your author. All right, if I remember correctly, it's a little ways in. Just gotta find it. There, science literacy. Oh, did I already pass it? Looks like I already passed it. So that was science literacy. Oh, there it is, environmental literacy. So there you go. Every answer is already here. So you might be thinking, well, why do I need to do the homework then? Here's what I want you to do. I would like for you at the end of the modules to try the questions. Don't look in your book, don't look at your notes, don't look at the answers yet. Just try. See if you know it, and then go and grade it. For any question you get wrong, just write in your homework why you got it wrong. I didn't get it right because I didn't understand the question, I misread the question, I read only half the question, I didn't realize the second part of the question, whatever. I'm not grading you on the questions you get right and the questions you get wrong. No, when you turn in your homework, I'm grading you on effort. Did you do it? Did you give it the good old college try? If you did that, you're going to get all the points on the homework. The homework is solely designed to get you ready for the exams. You don't have any pressure on a grade. As long as you get it done and turn it in on the day of the exam, you get all the points. The focus here is just getting you comfortable with the material, so when you take the exam, you have a better chance of doing well. That's the point of the homework. Again, it's just the environmental literacy, and the answers once again are right here. 1 second. There you go. Right here on Canvas. Let's go back out of that to show you from the beginning. There's files again. You would go to the environmental literacy answers and then pick the module you want, scroll down to the environmental literacy answers and read there. Now, as I said, they're due on the day of the exam. How do you get it to me? Write it up, type it up. I gave the suggestion of Microsoft Word, it's fine, and then email the work to me. Words were fine. Some students don't like to do that. Some students like to do it on notebook paper and then they like take a picture of it and then email me their homework. I don't care. As long as I get the homework by 11:59 p.m. on the day of your test, you're golden. No late homework is accepted. It's that simple. By the way, on late work, these are the most common ways in which I will work with people. These are extenuating circumstances. So yeah, I mean, heaven forbid, a death of the family, hospitalization, and that means you, family member. If it's a family member, that means you got to show you have to be there with them. Of course, legal issues and of course military duties. I'll obviously and absolutely work with you on these kind of things. But sometimes things happens that is an extenuating circumstance that's not listed here. Talk to me. Yeah, of course. If it's something legitimate, I'll work with you. Of course I will. Discussion board. Yeah, so the state wanted us to have a way to have discussions with you guys and for you guys to have discussions with each other, even though this is fully online. So this is the way in which one ways when people could do it. Usually on Fridays, sometimes it happens on Saturdays, depends on my Fridays go sometimes. I'm going to try to post a topic for you. So you can see here you have a discussions tab. And there'll be discussions in here. I haven't opened these up. I've already written a lot of questions, so it'll be up there for you. That's what the files. So I'll usually on Fridays, I'll open one up for you, and then they'll be open from like a Friday all the way until the next Thursday. And any time of those 6 days, just read what I put up there. I'll have information and some papers to read, and like some newspaper articles and maybe a video to watch, that kind of idea. And then you get to talk about it. I'll have somebody say, well, what do you think about this? What's your views on it? You can't get it right. You can't get it wrong. You can't get anything on it. It's neutral. It's just your views. You can't get the view wrong. You can't get the view right. It's just your thoughts. Just be constructive, be polite, and tell your colleagues what you think about whatever the topic is, like climate change. What do you think about it? No one should criticize you. Now, as you read it, maybe you're the first person to post, great. But come back a couple of days later, see what others have said. Like Mr. Smith, if you're the first one, and somebody comes up, well, I liked what you said, Mr. Smith, because of X, Y, and Z. Or somebody else comes in and says, well, I didn't really agree with you, Mr. Smith, because of A, B, and C. Be polite on your criticism, folks. I expect you to function with tact. And so you might reply to the reply on that kind of idea. And that's how you get a discussion going. I'll try not to say all that much. I'm more of like a referee on this. I usually step in when somebody's getting out of line because I want you guys to have the comfort and freedom to discuss the subject matter, to talk to each other in a comfortable, hopefully non-threatening environment. Again, I'll step in if I have to. So again, it's meant to discuss the material. It's meant to help you get ready for the exams, to kind of think critically about the subject matter. It's not meant for personal issues, sensitive information, of course, grades, that kind of idea. If you need to talk about things like that, send me that Teams meeting and we'll schedule something for you. Oh yeah, look at that, you're in a Gordon Rule class. And bear in mind, this is set up by HCC. They decided this class would be one of these. So if you're not familiar with Gordon Rule, that typically means either welcome to college or welcome to college in Florida. Either way, yeah, welcome. Here's what's going on. Way back when, a senator decided that college students were coming out woefully unprepared in mathematics and writing ability. No matter what you think, Senator Gordon was right about one thing. Based on how humans function, no matter where you go and what you do, you'll always be great on how you write and how you talk. It's just how it is. Now, math is easy. For math, all they had to do was say, well, this is your degree. You must go to this level, college algebra, pre-cal, Cal 1, Cal 2, whatever it is. Writing was more challenging. So they really had two choices: make you take like English 3, or what they did choose is called writing across the curriculum. I get why they did this. They want you to see writing in a lot of different disciplines. But here's the problem. I'm not an English professor. And it's not fair to either one of us to make me an English professor. Yeah, I took English in college, but that's a long time ago. And I've done a lot of writing, undergrad and graduate writing, but that's not me teaching it to you guys. So one, you should always work with the Writing Center. Always, always, always. There is a Writing Center. If you have questions, go to them. But with that, what am I supposed to teach you, even if I'm supposed to teach you anything? Because in science, for example, there's no such thing as like APA MLA formatting. There's nothing like that. If I'm going to write a paper in science, let's say I want to write to the Journal of Marine Biology and Ecology, I have to go to that journal, read the instructions to author, and find out what they want me to do. How do I format it? How do I cite it? Do I have abstracts? Do I have discussions? Do I have conclusions? Is it one page at a time or split pages. It could be any number of things. And it always varies from journal to journal. There's like 70 different journals that I could be picking from in all these different fields of science, biology, for example. So maybe the Journal of Marine Biology and Ecology doesn't like my paper and I have to reformat it for the Journal of Ecology. Those are two different journals. I have to restructure absolutely everything because they have different ways of doing things. So again, what exactly am I supposed to teach you? This is complicated, but you have to do this. So I try to make it as user-friendly as I could for everybody while holding to state law. So what I would like for you to do between the now and turn-in date, that's obviously incorrect. I apologize. I meant to have the right date there. I will correct that. I have the date a little bit lower in your syllabus. It looks like I just forgot to change that. It should be in November. Let's take a look at that now since we're on the subject. It is, yeah, November 16th. So I will go back and correct that. My apologies. So what you need to do then between now and November is find 2 articles that relate to the course. So for example, I just went onto Google and you can see what I plugged in because everyone gets all excited about climate change. So I chose climate change and pandemics. I chose that very general search because I came through an article recently that I saw about that. And I think it was here, if I remember correctly. Oh, there you go. How about that? New pandemic soon. Over 200 human pathogenic diseases worse due to climate change reveals study. Isn't that a comfy thought? So maybe you want to go and read on that. You've got to find 2 papers that relate to that topic. Or maybe you choose to do not so much climate change, hang on a second, but you choose to do this one. This is on poverty. I get this all the time. So you want to see the connection between poverty and climate change. I'm often asked a question, if I had to pick one thing that would help alleviate environmental science problems, what would that one thing be? What does the literature research bear out? It's poverty. Poverty seems to be like the linchpin of a lot of things. And there is evidence that if we can solve poverty, we might actually be able to have a better chance of solving climate issues, not just environmental science, but also climate change issues. So it's a very complicated matter, which means you got to find 2 papers that relate to poverty and environmental science. I don't care what the 2 areas are, as long as they relate to each other and they relate to environmental science. So find the 2 articles and then do this. Give a summary of the articles. And that might seem a little bit high schoolish, a summary. But there's actually a reason for this. When most scientists write a research paper, the hardest part is the abstract. You have to take all that science that you've done and crush it down into a paragraph or 2. That is not easy to do. So in this case, we're working on that skill. Then compare and contrast the articles, how are they similar, how are they different, and then your thoughts on the articles. Now, granted, this is due in November. By November, you should be able to articulate your position, even though this is science and you may not be a scientist or want to be a scientist, because you had 3 months of studying the subject by that point. And then the college asks us, please make sure it's significant. So there's the word count and a short literature cited. I don't care which one you use, whatever you like. Now, one of the requests I got, again, in that specificity issue was, please be specific what you want. So how about this? It must be typed, double-spaced, Times New Roman font, size 12, 1-inch margins. I hope that's specific enough for you. It's due by 11:59 p.m. on the day. Remember, it's November. I'm sorry again. I will change that. And then I'm not going to give you a topic. I actually had one student that got really, again, grumpy about this. He said, no, I think it's unfair. You should give us a topic. Utterly ridiculous. That is absolutely high school and lower behavior, like middle school kind of idea. You are in college. You should have the ability to pick a topic on your own. And actually, this is a courtesy to you. I remember when I was like in high school, I hated it when a teacher would say, hey, you're going to do this. Oh, man, I don't have any interest in that. So within the umbrella of environmental science, pick whatever tickles your fancy. I don't care. Now, what I did give you is some general ideas. For example, even though you're talking environmental science, you can still deal with things like astrobiology, bacteriology, biochemistry, biophysics, biotech. That'd be a huge one for environmental science. Botany, including astrobotany. That is a true field, by the way. People go, what? Astrobotany? Yeah, and in fact, this new master's I decided to do along with PhD, this is exactly what it is. This space studies into aerospace science program, the astrobotany program I'm going to do, is a project in astrobotany. The idea really here is it possible to grow crops in space? And with that, not only do how plants grow in a microgravity environment, but how could they be nutritious enough for long-term space flight, as well as once you get to where you're going, let's say you're going to be living on the Martian surface, how to even grow crops there? That's the idea of it. Well, that's obviously an environmental science issue, especially even off planet. Do we even have that right? To go to a place like Mars and start terraforming, if we even have that technology, to terraform it, do we have that right? Especially to find something living there. That's a huge environmental question. Granted, it's a Martian environmental question, but it's huge. There's cell biology and ecology, obviously big. Evolutionary biology, genetics, histology, inverzo, medical science, nutrition. I just mentioned that with astrobotany. General zoo, mycology, phycology, physiology, virtzo, virology. You could pick anything you want within this, as long as it relates to environmental science. Now, one thing you do also have to do, it's got to be a published paper from a .edu, a .gov, or mainstream media. When I first wrote this, I just said mainstream media, and I had people say, what does that mean? Well, there you go. ABC News, CBS News, CNN, Fox News, NBC News, those kind of things. Just bear in mind, for most news sources, they have biases. For example, CNN tends to lean left. Not always. I see right-leaning papers on CNN. Fox News tends to lean right. Not always. I've seen some left-leaning papers on Fox News, that kind of idea. Just bear these biases in mind. It's got to be younger than 2 years. Science changes. Biology definitely does. You cannot do anecdotes, interviews, movies. It has to be something published. And then you can't turn it in late, as always, in college. Now, bear in mind, this even just came up again in our in-services last week. Once again, we were reminded, as we have been like every in-service for years, that this is state law. And by state law, if a student doesn't pass the Gordon Rule portion of a Gordon Rule class, they automatically fail the course. You can ace every exam in this class. If you don't pass the Gordon Rule part, you automatically don't pass the class. That's state law. That's not HAC rule or my rule. That's state law. So bear that in mind. And again, extenuating circumstances happens. If that's the case, talk to me. I'll do what I can for you. For the examinations, there will be 3 of them. They'll be given through Canvas. Only through Canvas, and Canvas requires, excuse me, my cat is right here. He just got, yes, hello, good morning. He's got some fur in my mouth. I found out a long time ago when I teach online that it's a good idea to have my door open because he also gets grumpy when I'm in here and he's not allowed in. But he's being very good. He's zonked out right by the computer. At any rate, now that the hair is out of my mouth. So it'll be through Canvas. There it is. Canvas requires you to take your exams on a desktop or a laptop. You cannot use an iPad or anything like a slate. You cannot use your phone, nothing like that. It must be through Google Chrome, and you must have everything updated. The computer, the operating system, browser, everything must be ready to go. Of course, you can't use your books, your calculators unless I say you can't. And as I noted earlier, I can't help you with tech issues. We don't have the ability to go in and fix tech issues. So if you're in the middle of your test and the test hiccups, I cannot help you, which is why I'm noting this. Go to the question mark help icon. So if you go back to Canvas, right there, bottom of your page, you can see it there. The help icon. That's Canvas technical support. Talk to them. I cannot help you. And even if you have things like an internet outage, remember those things can be verified. If I can take that blue thing off there. Those things can be verified. And so if that happens, you claim, well, I couldn't take the test because of. It will be looked into. And if it found that you're lying, you are going to fail the test. And in fact, if you cheat, probably going to fail the course. Don't do that. I've already caught a number of students lying and cheating by trying these kind of tactics and games. Don't play games. But if it's legitimate, of course, I'll work with you. Now, when you take the exams, all the exams are given, again, the dates of them in the tentative schedule. Those are rock hard dates unless something very amazing happens, of course, and then I'll put an announcement out. On the day of the exam, it'll open at 9 a.m. and it'll close at 11:59 p.m. You could take it whenever you want from 9 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. But once you start it, you must complete the exam. You can't start and stop it. And you get exactly 100 minutes for it, which means you better start the exam by 10:19 p.m. or you won't get 100 minutes because the exam will close no matter what at 11:59 p.m. So don't play games. Now, I get people that still get grumpy with us right here. It's been on my syllabus forever. Almost all of my exams are 50 to 100 questions in length. There are a number of reasons for this. I just showed you chapter 1. Chapter 1 alone is 57 slides. That's one chapter 4 on your first exam, and you have labs. Welcome to science. There's a lot of information. So I remember back in the day when I had short tests, they were like, oh man, we studied all this stuff. We had 30 questions. I felt like I wasted my time studying everything when it wasn't on the test. People were really mad about that. Okay, so I gave them longer tests. And then people got mad that I had longer tests. Well, longer tests does reflect what you studied. So this is more fair to you. And on top of that, longer exams allow a greater chance of extra credit. In this class, I've got plenty of it. And on top of that, longer exams give you more wiggle room. Let's say one of the chapters, one of the labs you just aren't very comfortable with. You just don't really sync with the subject matter, even though you've asked lots of questions. It's just we all have things that are challenging, right? Okay, so maybe you missed some points there, but there are plenty of other points for you to pick up on. So let's say you missed 15 questions. Well, if it was a 100-question test, that's an 85 you got right. But if it was a 30-question test, you just failed. You only missed 15 questions, but you failed. So longer tests definitely help out. There's reasons for this, folks. Notice when you take them, you'll get questions one at a time and you cannot go back. There's been a lot of discussion, not just this semester, but for many, many semesters now. What are the best techniques and practices for online exams? And it's been bared out again and again and again. This is better. This is the way it needs to be. And there, again, are a number of reasons for that. If you want to go over exams, just send me a message. We can do it through a Teams appointment. And again, you better not miss an exam. Here are some extenuating circumstances I can work with usually. And if you do miss for extenuating, you're probably going to get an oral exam as a replacement. That means like they'll come in and they'll say, tell me how the phosphate cycle works, the phosphorus cycle, or explain the difference between igneous, sedimentary, and metamorphic rock. What's the difference between mafic and mafic and ultramafic and felsic rock? Okay, now you get to tell me that, an oral exam, as opposed to, I use multiple choice tests as opposed to a multiple choice test. So it's a good idea to be there on the exam. I'm not trying to make it any harder, but I'm trying to make it fair to your colleagues. Grading. I use a weighted system. You can see right here how much each exam is worth, how much the Gordon rule is worth, and then the homework. Now this project homework, this is actually a lab within the first test. It's just this one lab, lab number 4, has a lot of more parts to it. So I separated it and gave it its own points. That was actually meant as a courtesy to you. I could have just kept it in homework set 1. But I was trying to give you more points for it because there's just more work there for you. It's a bit of a doozy of a lab. It's the exact same lab you would have done on campus. Just I get a lot of moving parts to it. So I was trying to be kind to you by giving extra points. But you can see what all the homework is worth. And then I gave you an example. Now this is a fake student in a fake class. I'm just showing you how a point system works. Notice for this fake student, they got 63 points out of 70 on the first test, 90%. 20% of the grade is at 90%. You can actually see that right there. 20% of the grade is 90%. Exam 2, 72 points out of 84. They got an 86.9% on the exam. That's also 20% of your grade. There it is right there. 86.9%, 20% of the grade, and so forth. So at the end of the semester, I just tally up all the points, and there you go. You can see how the student did. They got an 89.9. Now again, this is a fake student, fake class. I gave them this grade on purpose to highlight the fact that being a scientist, I like mathematics. So I follow the rules of mathematics, and based on the rules of mathematics, if I can round up, I did. So this fake student, a fake class, got a fake A. Great fake job. But it also means in the overall grade, I'll do the same thing, your end of grade for semester. So if you get an 89.5 to 100, you get an A in the class, 79.5 to 89.4, you get a B in the class, and so forth. I will always follow the rules of mathematics. No subjectivity. Math. Remember, if you cheat, you're done. Don't do it. Not worth it. You might also think, well, cell phones, pagers, recorders. Why do I need that in an online class? And this might be more for, again, Teams meetings, or maybe if we have a group session of a team meeting, that kind of idea. It's just meant to be respectful. That's all. This is also on recording classes and things like that. This is required to be in syllabi. It's from the state. So there it is right there on what recordings are allowed. Talking in class, again, that's more of like we do a discussion meeting or something like that. It's just, again, being respectful to your colleagues, that kind of idea. Extra credit, you'll see it on your exams. I control that. You should never ask, and certainly demand, I've had that happen, extra credit. It's considered inappropriate, but it'll be on your exams, so no worries. Announcements, remember, check them regularly, even on weekends. I tend to be communicative. And then important notes. This class is like written for me. It's zoology, ecology, geology. This is like right up my alley. But I am not now, nor will I ever be a medical doctor. Now, this doesn't come up much in environmental science. There are other bio classes where it comes up more often, but it can come up. If you have a medical question, you need to go see a board certified medical doctor. I've had students, in class or in my office hours try to get me to answer their medical questions, and I won't do it. It's inappropriate. Go find a proper doctor, proper medical doctor, mind you. If you miss, go in your syllabus and find out what's going on, read your book, read your notes, and then ask me questions. If you have a disability, I've given you all the information here on how to get a disabilities note. By state law, I cannot do anything for anybody unless you go and talk to them first. So you can't send me an email saying, well, I need 4 hours for a test. Okay, I'm happy to help you, but I'm not allowed to by state law until you go and talk to them. Then they will send me the paperwork. I have to get it from them. You can't send this to me. And then once I get the paperwork from the disabilities office, I'll do whatever it says. I've got no problem with it. I just have to follow state law. This one is a bit scary, so bear with me for a second. But it's amazing that we have this for you. Notice HCC offers free counseling services. They contract with Baycare. It's a pretty messed up world out there, yeah? It's very stressful, everything, school and work and money and family. And then on top of that, pandemics and disease, therefore, and wars and famine, climate change, heck, even inflation, and everything is freaking expensive and we're all going to starve to death, whatever it may be. Welcome to the stress that is. And so for a lot of people, it's not unusual. At some point in your life, you're probably going to need to talk to somebody. Happens all the time. Please remember that now in the United States, it is considered a mark of health to speak to somebody when you need to. It should no longer carry any stigma with it. And it's free. Free counseling services with professionals. I can't even tell you how amazing that is, especially at the community college level. I'll give you an example of this. A friend of mine, she's a good friend. I met her years ago, but back in 2019, 2020, she got addicted to pills. And when this happened, she needed to go to an inpatient center to kind of calm her and sort of get her on her feet again. She was saying that in that one inpatient center she went to, she spent $150,000 US, and she was there for 2 weeks. What? She didn't have health insurance. And she, by the way, since 2020, she's been to 3 of these inpatient centers. And now she goes to a psychologist and a psychiatrist regularly, all without insurance. I can't even imagine how much money she spent. This is free. And again, you could talk to them confidentially about whatever you need to talk to somebody about. Use it. I've given you all the information right here. Kind of connect this one with the second paragraph, Speak Up HCC. This is meant to keep you and everybody safe at the college. So if you hear somebody threatening themselves, threatening colleagues, threatening you, threatening the school, whatever it is, this is a way that you could try to keep you, your colleagues, them, and the school safe. And it works. I'll also give you an example. A couple years ago in an environmental science class, I had a student that was apparently threatening the college. Wasn't threatening me from my understanding, but threatening the college. They went to the dean, directly threatened. From what I understood later on, apparently this student was schizophrenic and was not taking the medicine and was having a rough time. So what I remember is that the college helped him. He was gone for a few semesters. He got the help he needed. Then he came back and continued on his way. They kept him safe, got him the help he needed, and he continued on with what he needed to do in life. That's what it's for. Keep everybody safe so you can just continue on with life. There's your equity statement. Wherever you go in HCC, whatever class you take at HCC, you should feel welcomed and safe. For whatever reason that we're talking about, for race issues, color, gender, religion, national origin, age, disability, sexual orientation, marital status, gender identity, gender expression, veteran status, whatever it is, you should feel safe and comfortable at HCC. If something is happening and you don't, talk to us. We, again, will help you out. Right, and that gets you to the tentative schedule. When I first started teaching at HCC, almost 20 years ago, I remember I just had schedule. I did have tentative in front of it, and I was quickly told, oh, no, no matter what class it is, you got to say tentative. And I realized quickly why. Anything could happen at any time. For example, pandemic, or fire, or storms, this thing called a hurricane, terrorist threats, emergencies, mine, other people, anything could happen that could get in the way of the course. So because of that, it needs to be tentative. Now with that, you can see tomorrow, the 15th, that's when this will go live. That's when you should be able to first see this. So it's orientation day. On the 24th, you have a quiz on the syllabus. You have to take that, part of that attendance issue we talked about. And by the 26th, you need to send me an email to my HCC email from your HCC email stating you want to stay in the class. And then notice after that, you're kind of on your own. You have to read your book whenever you want to read the book. You have to read my post-it notes whenever you want to read my post-it notes. And then the labs. Now these dates on the labs, they're just suggestions. You can do the labs whenever you want, so long as you have them done by the day of the test. I don't care. They're just suggestions to kind of help you like plan your semester, that kind of idea. This is, for the most part, rock solid. On the 28th of September, we have our first exam. You can see it's on chapters 1 and 4. These are the chapters here, of course, and labs 1 to 4. There are your labs. Same idea here. You can do the labs whenever you want in the second unit, as long as they're done by the second test on the 26th of October. It's on those labs and chapters 9 to 11. Excuse me. Here are chapters 9 to 11. And then the last exam, you do not have a cumulative final, just a last exam. We have one more lab. And then the chapters. You get chapters 5 to 8. And here are the chapters, your book and my post-it notes. Final start on the 30th. So I'm trying to get this done for you. We'll take our final date on the 30th, the start of finals. Like every other exam we'll take in the semester, it's due by 11:59 p.m. And then I have a section here that's on frequently asked questions. You can see there. These are questions I get over and over and over and over again. So I'm trying to save us both a little bit of time. So there you go. There's your syllabus. So let's go back here. All right. So in your files, like again, we've gone over all of them. There's your additional labs, literacy questions, the lectures, the syllabus. This is just something from the college saying, hey, this is how you succeed in online. But it's there if you want to read it. It's got nothing to do with me specifically or this class specifically. There's a discussion like I talked about. All your exams are here in the quizzes tab. They're exams. Canvas calls them quizzes. You can see test 1 again. Notice it didn't open until September 28th. It opens at 9 a.m. You can take it whenever you want until 11:59 p.m. Remember, you only get 100 minutes for it whenever you do start. You have to take it in one sitting. Exam 2 on October 26th and exam 3 on November 30th. Grades are just that. Now, Macmillan, if you're using the ebook, you'd have to go here and register for your ebook. Right now, it's giving me a technical issue, so I actually have a message into Macmillan saying, hey guys, what's going on? So if you go to the bookstore at HCC, the new Barnes & Noble bookstore, and you buy the access code, that's where you buy it, and it's not working, you can't send that to me. I can't help you with tech questions. You've got to go to Macmillan and work with them directly to work out whatever tech issues you're having. And then lastly, there will be a library link for you. Just click on this and then it would take you to where you would log in and use library. I probably need to log in. There you go. Yeah, but it's where you use library. And that's it. That's the whole course. Welcome again. It's a delight to meet y'all. I hope you enjoy the course. I'm sure you're realizing how important environmental issues are. And look what's happening in the world, not just for your life, but your kid's life and your grandkid's life or your kitty cat's life. I want him to have a good, happy life as well. So again, it's a very applicable course, and I do hope that you enjoy it. But with that in mind, again, it's very nice to meet you. And please send me those messages whenever you might have it. Have a good day, everybody.